Welcome to Proven and Probable, where we focus on metals, mining, and more. I'm your host, Maurice Jackson. Joining us today is Gerardo Del Real, co-owner of Resource Stock Digest and editor and writer for the Outsider Club, which publishes the Junior Mining Monthly and the Junior Mining Trader. Today we will share some junior mining companies to consider for your portfolio. Mr. Del Real, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. I really appreciate the opportunity, Maurice. Thank you.
Gerardo, for someone listening, please share your background and tell us about Resource Stock Digest.
You know, I've been involved in the resource space in one way or another for just a little over a decade, about 11 years now. And so it's truly a passion of mine. And Resource Stock Digest was launched a couple of years ago. It's a website that anybody can go to. Of course, it's resourcestockdigest.com. It's absolutely free. And we really take pride in providing quality exclusive content. So every week, if you go to the site, you can count on exclusive interviews with analysts, CEOs, geologists, and some of the top minds in the junior resource space.
You know, one of the virtues I enjoy about this industry is that it's people-driven. You know, you and I are friendly competitors and have a mutual respect for one another because our ultimate goal is to share the value propositions for our subscribers. And so that being said, I want to get your take on the precious metals market. Are you currently buying? And if so, what and why?
Maurice, I have been as aggressive in the junior space this year as I have been the past 7 or 8 years. And let me explain that. So I believe that when it comes to the gold price, we need to breach that 1365 level and then get through the 1374 level before we see a real breakout. And I think once we do that and we get that $1,400 gold price, we're going to see some sector rotation back into the junior resource space, specifically the gold stocks. And so there's a time to buy and a time to sell. And I've been trying to preach to subscribers here the past year and a half or two. This is the time to buy. So me personally, every month I'm adding the best names with the best teams at what I feel are absolutely depressed prices. So I view 2016, 2017, and the first part of 2018 as opportunities to really get the pick of the litter per se and get some of the best names in the portfolio at prices that I don't think after this year we're going to see again.
You know, speaking of the best names, let's discuss some issuers that have your attention at the moment.
Absolutely. So let me backtrack a bit and explain my process a bit. I'm big on share structure. I'm big on people. You mentioned this is a people business. It's a relationship business. It's not a coincidence that the top 5% of management teams outperform the other 95%. That is not a coincidence. So I'm big on teams. I'm big on share structure. And then, of course, once we get past those two, we can definitely look at assets. So one company in the gold space, in the gold silver space actually, that I find pretty compelling right now is Almaden Minerals. It's run by a gentleman by the name of Morgan Poliquin. He is among the best geologists in the space, has a track record of making discovery after discovery in eastern Mexico. And him and his father, Dwayne Poliquin, actually pioneered exploration for mineral deposits in that part of Mexico, in eastern Mexico. They have a database that's about 3 decades ahead of everybody in the space. And why do I think Almaden is a compelling proposition at these levels? Well, they had a pre-feasibility study on their Ixtaca deposit, which outlined an after-tax and net present value of about $310 million and an internal rate of return of 41%. That was using a $1,250 gold price and $18 an ounce silver, which, you know, we're higher there on the gold price, we're lower on the silver price, but the market cap is about $104 million Canadian. And by the way, they also own a mill that shaved about $70 million off of their initial capital. And so you have a $70 million mill, you have a polymetallic deposit, great community support, and by the way, they have excellent exploration potential and upside. So that's a company that I think is a bargain at these levels and one that I continue to buy at these prices.
You know, and equally just as well as Almadex Minerals, which is basically the same ownership there. And coincidentally, you know, Dwayne was actually one of the pioneers for the prospect generator model. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
And Rick rules very high on them. Anyone else?
You mentioned Almadex. We can talk about Almadex. They're at a very important juncture in their company's history. So they made a discovery in Veracruz, Mexico, called the El Cobre project, and that recently attracted the attention of Newcrest. So they in exchange for 19.9% of the company, Newcrest invested $19 million, I believe, in Almadex. And what's happening right now, it's really interesting. Almadex is spinning out the remaining exploration portfolio and royalty portfolio, which is robust, out of Almadex Minerals and creating a new company. So shareholders here at the end of May will have one share of Almadex, which hosts the El Cobre deposit, which will see significant and aggressive drilling this year, and they'll spin out that new SpinCo. All of the other assets will go into a new company, and believe me, that exploration portfolio should not be underestimated. This is the same thing that happened with Almadex when Almaden spun out Almadex. And so I think if you look at the history there, it's a pretty compelling opportunity.
And speaking of that ended up being a 10-bagger when when Almadex was spun out of Almaden. So again, for you shareholders out there that are looking for a company that's a good steward of capital in your portfolio, Almaden, Almadex, these are some quality names. How about some other sectors?
Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the lithium sector. Morgan Stanley put out a note, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, that basically scared a lot of the lesser informed investors and speculators in this space. And the note, the premise of it, I should say, was that there would be an oversupply of lithium here within the next couple of years. And so, a lot of the better names, quality names, really took a beating. And I personally, I've added to my positions here recently, in my humble opinion, the most advanced, quality, compelling proposition in the junior space has to be Advantage Lithium. They have a project in the Cauchari Basin there they own 75% of it. Their partner Oro Cobre is already producing, and frankly, I think they're a takeout target here within the next 12 months. They trade at about $1 Canadian, if I'm not mistaken. Quality team, advanced stage asset. We should have an updated resource estimate here within the next month or two that I think is going to surprise to the upside, and I think the stock's a bargain at these levels.
How about uranium? You and I have a mutual interest in a company that is a sponsor for both of us, and that is Fission Uranium.
I'll give you 4 names that I think are at different stages in their company's history. Fission Uranium, what can you say? Quality team, world-class asset, world-class exploration potential. That when you buy it, you put it away. They have great long-term, large strategic investors. So I think, one of the more advanced stage companies has to be Fission. In the U.S., Uranium Energy Corp, UEC, which is run by the gentleman by the name of Amir Adnani, who is among the brightest and most active CEOs in the space. Quality assets here in Texas, quality assets in the U.S., and with the recent news coming from the Russian parliament that they may cut off uranium and titanium exports to the U.S. They're actually going to be debating this on May the 15th. The stock has been up about 20 or 30% here in the last few days, in large part because of the safety that the assets provide jurisdiction-wise. So 2 advanced stage companies that I really like, UEC and Fission Uranium. 2 lesser advanced but quality names, Sky Harbor Resources and URZ Energy. I think both of those have a lot of runway here in what I view as a coming bull uranium market. And for those listeners of your show that are familiar with uranium bull markets, they are violent. They always surprise to the upside. And I think we're right on the cusp of another one of those.
It's like Rick Rule says, it's the other yellow metal. Let me ask you this. Speaking of metals, physical metals, stewardship of them, what is your position on those?
I'm a big fan of just buying gold every month, regardless of what the price does, a little bit at a time, right? There's some coins that I prefer, some older Mexican coins, the Centenarios. They're beautiful coins. But whatever your preference is, you buy a little bit and you just put it away. If you look at monetary history in this country and throughout the world, you can look back, pick a chart, pick 100 years, pick 50 years. Let's go back 5,000 years if you want to take it on a more macro stage. The one thing you can always count on is governments taking money away from productive citizens through taxation, misallocating it, and then debasing the currency, right? And so I think if anybody that's familiar, I know you're a student of this, Maurice, anybody that's familiar with history in on this planet should be able to track the fact that there is absolutely should be a place in everybody's portfolio when it comes to gold. So that's the strategy that I take. I buy it, I put it away. If it goes up, if it goes down, it really doesn't bother me much.
It's just a common theme. I know this in this industry with those that are serially successful. So thank you for sharing that. Gerardo, last question here. What did I forget to ask?
I think we covered a lot of bases. I would preach to listeners that are listening right now to really do your due diligence. The junior resource space is among the riskiest in the entire world, and it's high risk, high reward for a reason, but you can really do yourself a favor and minimize the risk if you get familiar with quality management teams, if you learn how to vet share structures, and if you never, ever buy a junior with money you can't afford to lose. So I would caution to minimize the risk, and when the reward part works itself out, everybody's really smart and everybody pats themselves on the back. But you should start by minimizing risk in the sector. It can be very rewarding. I love it. I'm privileged to do this for a living. And those are some of the lessons that I've learned here in the last 11, 12 years.
Gerardo, how do we become a subscriber to Resource Stock Digest?
You can you can go onto the site. It's resourcestockdigest.com. If you want exclusive content direct to your inbox, you fill out your email, you click the subscribe button there on the homepage, and we'll send out every single interview that we do. We'll make sure that you get a weekly recap at the beginning of each week. And I encourage everybody to go to resourcestockdigest.com and theoutsiderclub.com. I write a free editorial for the Outsider Club every week, and you can catch some of my ranting and raving there as well.
And finally, please share your contact details, sir.
You can reach me directly by email at delrealgerardo@gmail.com. I know that's a mouthful, so let me spell that out. That's DELREALGERARDO@gmail.com.
And last but not least, please visit our website, www.provenandprobable.com, where we interview the most respected names in the natural resource space. You may reach us at contact@provenandprobable.com. Gerardo Del Real of Resource Stock Digest, thank you for joining us today on Proven and Probable.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Jackson.
You're more than welcome, sir.
Thank you for joining us today on Proven and Probable. Remember to like and subscribe for more conversations with the most respected names in the natural resource space. Check out our website at www.provenandprobable.com. The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice, or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.